Once again, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Village of Bartlett Committee of the Whole meeting for January 17, 2023. I call this meeting to order and ask the clerk to again please call the roll.
Trustee DEYNE?
Here.
Gansey? Here. Gunstein?
Here.
Hopkins?
Here.
LaPorte?
Here.
Jawanski? Here. President Wallace?
Here. First item we have on our committee agenda this evening is Finance and Golf Committee Chairman DEYNE.
Thank you, Mr. President. The item we have on the agenda is the golf irrigation system. I'll give you a little background. And at the December 6, 2022 Village of Bartlett Committee at Whole meeting, the Village Board discussed the 2023 through 2027 Capital Improvement Plan. Within that discussion was the irrigation project at Bartlett Hills Golf Course and the need for replacement. The replacement, upon approval, would be scheduled to go out for bid this upcoming season, with the work beginning in the fall. The current system was installed in 1998 and had a lifespan of 10 to 30 years. There is a constant battle in trying to repair the system, and the irrigation is reaching a point where a full replacement is necessary. The plan is to replace the PVC with high-density polyethylene pipe. The system would have a life expectancy of approximately 50 years and is estimated to have a cost of approximately $1.9 million. The discussion of how to fund the project with various options then occurred. The discussion of user fees then came up. Based on a yearly analysis of comparable as well as the need for the irrigation system, staff is looking at proposing a $3 increase to the standard rate, as well as a $2 various twilight fees and a $1.99 booking fee. The estimated return on investment of these increases comes out to $100,000 a year. The back pay for the irrigation system would occur halfway through its predicted system life at approximately 20 years. However, with incremental increases every few years based on competitive pricing, market conditions, and cost of living, it would be assumed this payback would be much quicker. However, factors like the economy, Mother Nature, and the state of the game of golf does not make it a perfect science. Nonetheless, if we apply a raise in user fees as a method of payment for the irrigation, 20 years would seem a very conservative estimate. The initial funding for the project would come out of developer deposits. Seems like a very workable plan to me. This is, when I first read this, the thought that came to my mind is if you go out and buy a car, okay, you don't put most people don't put $40,000 or $50,000 down in a car. I happened to look at Joe LaPorte, and I thought to myself, he probably does. And if I looked at Dan Gunstein, he probably does. But I don't, okay? I finance my automobiles. If you buy a house, it's the same thing. You take a 30-year mortgage, 15-year mortgage, whatever the case may be in your house. This is the same investment that we're making at the golf course. The golf course is an asset to our village. All the people that I play golf with, and I play on a regular basis, and we travel around to other courses, I can honestly tell you the job that Phil and Matt are doing out there right now are impeccable. We definitely do have to have a new irrigation system, and the payback seems more than fair. And even if we missed by a couple of years, we're still looking at a reasonable payback based on the increase in fees. So I think we should just put this on the agenda and move forward with it. I don't have a problem with it at all, and I don't think any of us should either. It's an asset to our village.
I think it's fine to raise the rates, but why a booking fee? Why not just raise the rate?
Roll it in.
Why not just roll that booking fee in? Why have a separate dollar amount for $1.99?
The booking fee makes sense for a number of reasons. One is all our competitors do it.
Right.
Two, it's a fee that's collected via Golf Now. So when somebody goes into the portal to make a tee time, as opposed to raising our advertised rates, this is a way for us to generate some income on top of the rate increases.
Yeah.
Does that help answer your question?
Stephanie, it's just an added. It's $2 more that we're getting, and it's there for the taking. So
yeah, I was
with tributes back to the irrigation system.
So the developer fund. So this is what fund is that then? Out of the developer deposits, but
Yeah, we have
three capital projects funds, the developer deposits funds. Also, most of that money came from developer donations. It's also where we hold deposits. So there is, funds available there. We have loaned,
Is it like a depositor's fund, or is it in the general fund, or, I mean, where is
like,
it?
capital projects.
Capital projects fund? Okay, so so then we'd just be loaning it to them, but not with an interest or anything, that's just.
Right,
I
I would propose a, interest-free loan for 20 years, yes.
I like that idea.
Yep.
I think, trustee DEYNE said everything that I think needs to be said.
I just had one question, Matt. How long does it take for this to get installed?
It start hopefully October, November, and if it was a winter like this would be great, because maybe putting cycles around December and January, maybe February. But hopefully 4 to 5 months working probably, hopefully October, November, December, March, depending on when you're out.
Is it a SWAT team thing, or do they go hole by hole?
So they will go, the main line will go like parallel to the hole. They put the main line in first, the point plate stuff, and then main line in, there's no lateral on each hole, like one hole at a time, then the lateral line.
Will we have any noticeable difference in the golf course?
Probably have a little local difference. Like they pull on the fairway, they pull it underground, so it's not like trenches. You see a little, you see workers out there.
Yeah. But I mean, with the system that we have right now, is it adequately get water to the areas that it needs to get water to?
It's water there, but it's not adequate. We're waiting for leaks every day, right?
I've seen those areas where it's just all wet.
Yeah.
Well, I can't remember if it was Matt or Tyler who said that they have to go out every morning and check every hole to make sure that the,
Yeah, I get there at like 3, 4 in the morning, or 4 in the morning, I gotta drive each hole, I gotta see the car path wet, or the trees dripping with water.
would you still have to do that after this? No, that'll be,
Technology now
got it.
is crazy.
What are the standard rates right now, Ray?
Well, it depends on the time of day that you play, and whether or not you're a resident. They have a number. I'll let Phil address.
There's an abundance
Right.
of golf rates depending on where you live, how old you are, all the way up from what I'm proposing for next year. The high end would be on a weekend with a cart, $74, all the way down to, let's say a resident plays at 6 o'clock in the evening, and walking, that would be as low as like 23.
And by the way, I just want to add to that, that's competitive. Okay, the other golf courses.
Survey this winter or the.
I'm sure it is.
Okay.
With our competitors.
So what percent, so $3 on the standard rate, is that 1% increase, is it 5%?
Well, that's not a fair question. We can't answer that because we have so many different rates.
Well, there's gotta be a price point that we have to hit, so you could have all your rates, but you have to have
That'd be a wham.
you have to have a nut that you have to make.
Well, if you had a 2% increase on a $10 rate or a 2%
What's the increase on eggs right now? What's the increase on gas right now? I mean, I say we go higher, and pay it off sooner. I'm not opposed to the idea, but
Free money, we're borrowing it from the village.
But please understand, we have to remain competitive. The rounds of golf that we have out there right now.
the county just raised their assessment 27%. Are they remaining competitive?
I don't know how many rounds
I'm
they've
being
played
devil's
there.
advocate. If we're gonna do it, let's do it so it sustains it.
Well, I think that could be addressed on another thing. If we can get this on the board for a vote, then we could reevaluate our rates during the season or at the end of the next season. But the most important thing is initially to get this moving forward.
Yeah, I would just suggest we toss it onto the board. Before we do that, I want to make one more comment, just to reiterate what Ray says. I've played courses all around the Chicago metro area, and I've heard from people all around the Chicago metro area, you guys that don't play at our course, and they've said that Bartlett Hills is one of the best municipal courses in this entire metro area.
I belong to Elgin Country Club, okay? And I've got people that I played Elgin, bring them down to Bartlett, and they say that our greens are in better shape than Elgin Country Club. And I'll go on record saying that. Yeah.
Hey, Joe, that's why Doesn't put all that money down in a car because he's in the country club.
When they have to, when they have to fix the sprinkler system at Elgin Country Club, all the members pay to have that sprinkler system.
Wait a second, let me respond to trustee Gandy. No, that's coming to an end. My wife is retired. She was a breadwinner.
I'm all for doing it. I just,
So, Joe,
the 1%
He just
increase.
wants it paid off early.
Trustee LaPorte is saying, jack it up $5. Okay, let's let the professionals handle the rates, because they know what the competitive part is.
And if this passes, Phil and Matt will be very, very happy because of the fact we are going to give them 18 buckets, one for each hole, right? So they may not have to get 18 buckets of water and water the fairways with, on each hole, so.
I would like to pursue, I mean, it's not tied to this, but I do like, Joe had some ideas about a more family-friendly driving range, and I do think that's something that we should talk about to get some revenue generated that way.
Or just raise the fee $10 and give them a hot dog and a Coke in return.
Trustees, we're in discussion with Phil on that, based on what Joe had talked to us about earlier. So there are some things that we will be discussing with staff.
If you raise I talked to Paul about the driving range, may not be feasible because every night it's busy, but if you did increase it $10, but everybody got something at the halfway, or a voucher, whether they use it or not, so you get a hot dog and a Coke at the turn, and that's included in your fee, so it takes the bite out of, wow, you're charging me $10 more. Oh, well, yeah, but you're getting this at the turn. It's like, whatever it is.
We sold cards for the, credit cards like for the driving range before, and they were being abused. Someone would buy a card, right, Phil? And then they pass it along to someone else, and they pass it along to someone else. And that just didn't work, so we stopped that a few years ago.
Just to speak to the rates, too, I mean, like Phil said, this isn't new. This is new because we're trying to fund this irrigation system.
Yeah.
We do a rate study every year. And I would say about 10 years ago, when you looked at 20 comparables, we were about 10th. But as we slowly, methodically keep getting better, we've raised our rates along with that. And out of 20 comparables, when we looked, we're about 4 or 5. If we were to raise it $10, that would put us at 1. And quite honestly, I don't think that would be perceived not well by some of our regulars.
I think if this helps fray the cost of the irrigation system, and we can keep it at that, why do more right now?
That's fine. I just look at 35,000 rounds, how can you get an extra $10 out of a golfer? Because you're going to golf, you're going to have a good time. I'm going to have a couple beers. I'm going to have a cigar. Getting $10 out of me will be easy. So 35,000 times $10 is $350. You're a third of the way there. So just my 2 cents.
Well, my buddy works at Cary Country Club, and they have people that walk away for a couple bucks a round to go to a different course. It's weird.
This is all relative.
It is. So can we move this forward, put it on?
Put it on the next board meeting.
Okay, great. Mr. President, that's all we have this evening.
Thank you, Chairman Daney. Next item we have this evening under Public Works is Chairman LaPorte.
Great. We have a downtown sidewalk discussion. Downtown sidewalks were discussed with the committee in May 2022. At the committee meeting, there was a discussion on options.
Unbelievable.
The committee determined that they would like to keep the current pattern, but install stamped and stained concrete in place of brick pavers. We have made up some samples as they're being displayed of different colors in the committee, and the committee to review and select with the color they prefer. We'll have the samples here tonight.
It looks similar. I can't. I'm going to get up and look at some of these. Yeah, let's get up and look at
What's the number of that one?
I like the shiny.
Is that
I'm going to let people that have
All right.
statistic
The other
bone in their
5 not
body
make
do
the
this
cut?
part. This is like sticking out a tie for me.
I don't.
So, back in May, we made the decision we're going to keep the brick area. We're going to remove the bricks that are deteriorating and find a concrete stamp pattern with coloring. So we've had our guys kind of working with the patterns and colors. And came up with a few different ones that you guys can take a look at. We've got a couple tan ones, then we've got like a few different varieties of the reddish.
So does each one of these displays have two different colors? Because it looks like, or is it the same color with a different
Shine.
finish?
What you're seeing is, like, for instance, this one right here, the side closest to me is untreated, the other side is treated. I think we recommend the treated. It looks better. It'll hold up better. We may have to do it periodically to keep that protective coating on there, but I think it really makes the color pop.
Does the coating make it slippery?
Sound effect.
I have a little concern with that.
Yeah.
But I think since we're only doing a little pattern, you know, the areas aren't huge, that we'll be able to avoid that type of issue.
Well, I would say from personal experience, go with a darker color because it's gonna fade. They're all gonna fade.
They're all gonna fade.
So what you see now is gonna fade lighter, and I have the finish, and it's slippery. So for what that's worth, it's better, it's more durable. You do have to maintain it every couple of years, but if you're wearing Crocs or anything with like a soft rubber sole like that, it's like instant death. You slide on it.
Oh,
It's not good to hear.
And
maybe not, maybe not.
Joe, you're talking about the finish?
Yeah.
you can add silicone.
It's beautiful, it looks great. There is shark bite or shark grit.
But it's a liability issue.
You might be able to put, there's a shark grit, I think that.
Yeah, right, so we could take a look at that.
They have sand they can put in the finish to keep it a little bit rougher.
Shark bite or shark grip or something.
So we're looking at, I think the tan color, we've got the tan to kind of see what that would look like. I'm afraid that that might look too much like the concrete that's there.
Yeah,
Where obviously those three there really pop out in contrast, because the color of concrete is pretty much that's a concrete board that was on, so it kind of gives you an idea of what the concrete around the edges will look
we're
like.
putting this on the edges.
No, this will be in place of the brick that currently is there, so it'll be more of the center.
The brick now is kind of a reddish color, right?
Right.
That's why we kind of picked a few different reds.
I felt that every so often they got like a.
Whatever you guys want to do.
Yeah. We're just gonna replace that.
Whatever you guys want to
I
do.
felt like number two matched what we have currently out there the closest when I saw it originally in the front of the village hall.
That one?
I felt that matched a lot of our brick in downtown Bartlett.
That color?
Yeah.
I like that one.
The reason this is coming up is if you've been by Moore Brewing, that building is moving along, and it sounds like they will be ready to open, this spring, hopefully. They have Sidewalk to replace as part of that project, so we want to give them the brick pattern and coloring so that we can work with them on reestablishing that sidewalk in front of their business. And then our plan would be to have our crews start this next summer, start replacing the brick to Main Street along Railroad. We'll take out the bricks, start pouring, the concrete the color will be in the concrete. So the concrete will be the color all the way through, so that if it does chip or whatever, the color will still be there. It won't be just a top coloring. I think that is worth it. But what that does is when we're doing it, we're going to do a whole load. So we're not buying a short load or anything like that. So we're going to remove enough to be able to do a truckload worth, and then we'll pour it, finish it, and be done, and just keep.
Which one of those, I'm sorry?
I was just gonna ask if you all had taken these out, or had an opportunity to take these outside and look at them in different lights, at different times?
We had them in the lake, so we had them at different types of daylight. And then we also put some master shirts down, so we could see them again.
Or against the brick here of the
We
building?
did bring it, we can,
And if you did, which one did you think worked best in the different lights? If you all did that?
Some of them turned out, like 9 turned out really, 10, the one in the middle there, turned out really, really orange. It was like, so why not?
Yeah, that looks, I think I could rule the orange one out now. I don't like that orange one.
Do we have a consensus? We can
To rule out the orange one?
like the
I'm agreeing with that. You can
I don't
cross that
like
one out.
Yeah, you can remove that.
Tyler, pull that one
That
out.
tile.
Take that away.
And those two, yuck.
Process of elimination here.
Yeah, those are bad.
The tan around there is about the exact same
Those are
color,
ugly.
right?
they're very close.
Yeah.
Down to 9 and 10.
I interrupted you, Kevin. I'm
No,
sorry.
that's okay. That's,
Keep in mind, there's 5 of them that didn't make the cut, because there's a number 10.
Tyler, can you please hold it up at an angle?
I do have a question for you. There's a lot of areas that it's all brick. Whole approaches in front of the, like the corners, are they going to?
I like that one better.
Yeah, let's go with that.
I like the red brick.
That's what with more, the plan is, once we figure out what it is, we'll give them, there's the actual, the brick patterning. We're actually planning to buy the pattern ourselves so that we will have it for ourselves. We will probably either tell them the pattern that they can rent or allow them to utilize our pattern. But we're gonna try to mimic what's out there now, but at the corners, it does tend to have more brick. So we will try to get more of that brick in there.
So it'd be this, probably surrounded by something similar to this, right?
Well, probably the edges.
Try more like, concrete.
Hardy board is pretty much concrete.
Hey,
And
Dan,
we can put these out front here, so you can, look at, we brought them out from the sunlight, it does change it a little.
Because this one looks good with the treated, but the slippery
I don't think it's good.
is a concern.
Dan was talking about adding some
We're gonna look and see if we can add an anti-slip.
does the vendor,
Silica that you can throw in with it.
does the vendor have any references of any other municipalities that have used it? And you see a lot more in residential, but maybe there's a public works that you could just tap them on their.
Seeing these patterns around.
Number 9 is color and the handicap awareness, prevention slip pads at the intersection, so it would actually tie into all.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's really only when they're wet is when it's slippery.
that's a good point, tell it.
We're gonna take up the bricks, the existing bricks are gonna come out. Are we gonna sell those to residents for
Yeah, good idea.
and have, have their name put on them? Or a revenue generator?
Number 9 matches up
Have
pretty
a
good with
Bartlett
If it was my house, I'd probably go
the
red.
rumble strips that are put in for,
Brown is kind
for
of like
handicap and slippery.
And that's why I feel like at least
So,
look like a
I think it
difference.
tie in nice.
Start redoing everything.
Originally, I thought number 2.
I hate for people to be like, I never noticed.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, what's different?
Yeah.
Dan has a good point. I don't think anybody.
I just said that number 9 matches the color of the warning rumble tracks at the intersections where the crosswalks are. So they would tie in that, make it look out of place.
All right, we have a winner.
Number 9, it is.
Oh, the red brick.
One other thing that I wanted to mention, while we're getting more brewing sidewalk, established, there's the parkway between the curb and the sidewalk that right now has been grass. If you've been by there, grass doesn't grow that great along the roadway there. If you remember, we've got a Metra landscape enhancement project that hopefully is gonna get built next summer. Todd brought up, this is the proposed plan across the street on the north side of Railroad, right by the Depot Museum. They're using a lot of native plantings and that type of stuff. The thought would be to not put grass in and do more of this type of landscape material along Railroad. Are there any concerns
Where's
with that?
that? Is that like on this map?
This is right across, south of the tracks, east of the Depot Museum.
Okay.
So that whole area will we're gonna be doing it along the entire tracks, even on the north side of the tracks, but it's all native plantings, a lot less grass, once you get those plants established, there's not a lot of maintenance associated with it, so the thought was, let's minimize the grass where we know it doesn't grow the greatest, and put it
Like it'll look better than it looks like over here?
over where?
Like the fountain?
Oh,
It kinda looks a little
it's a little bit,
native.
that's not native plantings really, that's more just shrubs and that type of stuff.
Okay.
I mean, there is sod going in here, there's a lot bigger area you can tell in this area. But where the sidewalk is along it, there's benches and, plantings rather than all grass.
I would say if it doesn't make sense to put grass there, then go with the concrete.
Okay.
Yeah.
Are you proposing individual concrete pads there? Is that what you're showing? Or is that the plan that they have?
It'd be similar to what we have on the south side. So that's kind of showing where that is, that would be like the brick pattern, but it'll be concrete, kind of like we're doing here. It'll be the same pattern that we're doing on the south side.
As long as kids can roller skate or, go across it without hitting a ledge or an area where it's lifted up, that would be great, so. Because right now it's a little rough to utilize bikes and skateboards and rollerblades on it.
Groovy.
I know I fell on my rollerblade the other day. Yeah, one.
Thank you.
Kyler, fantastic job.
Hey, Dan, how are things?
Look out.
Dan, how are things going at the,
Snow is up helping you now, you're on your own.
how are things going at the water treatment?
Are they
You're
heavy?
back. We don't need any workman's comp.
Yeah, that's true.
What was that, Joe?
What was your question?
Just, how are things going at the, construction over the water treatment?
Wastewater treatment plant?
Yeah.
With the weather, they are, moving right along. Lots of concrete still being poured, a lot of work going on, so that we got
Thank you guys for doing this. This really helped. I'll take one of those at my house, too, that we're not using. I'll use it for a doorstop. Use it for a doorstop.
If there's any left over when we're done.
Start stamping.
Thank you, Chairman Laporte. So we will move that along. I will entertain a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss personnel pursuant to Section 2C1 of the Open Meetings Act.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Trustee Stewanski, seconded by Trustee Hopkins. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Trustee Daney?
Yes.
Gansey?
Yes.
Gunstein?
Yes.
Hopkins?
Yes.
Laporte?
Yes. Yes.
Swansky?
Yes.
Is that it? We're adjourned to executive session.
Oh, I just, no.